Hey Raven users, Jamie Z here, and today I want to show you how to upgrade and install Raven 4.0 on Mac. So let's get started. I've plugged in the HDMI and the USB, and you'll see the touchscreen is actually working, but it's not very good. This is the native Mac touch driver. We'll be installing a much better touch driver, but it'll unlock gestures and all of that in a minute. So we're doing this on a Mac Mini. I'm running Ventura, and we can see here the Raven MTI Max display is plugged in. Now we're ready to get upgraded. So go to your web browser and go to my.stevenslateaudio.com. If you don't have an account, click here to sign up. If you have an account, log in. In your account settings under iLock, we'll be sure to link our iLock ID so our licenses get deposited. And if you have a new Raven, you'll take your passcode card and hit the Add Products button here and type in your passcode to redeem it. Now I'm upgrading from Raven 3.0, so let's go through that procedure. You'll go to your Raven tab, and in here, we can choose our DAW and hit Upgrade to Raven 4.0. It's added to our cart, and now we will go check out. In this screen, type in the account that you're going to use for the Raven. slateaudiotest@gmail.com. Type in all your info, continue to payment, complete the order. Now that we've completed the order, we can go back to our Slate Raven account. And under Raven, you'll see we have Raven 4.0 here. Here's some videos and manual downloads, but we'll go ahead and download the Slate Audio Center. While that's downloading, we confirm our iLock has been deposited. So see here, this is our iLock license that we just upgraded and bought. We could drag it over to the machine or the iLock ID, but I will show you how to do this with the Slate Audio Center. So now that we have the Slate Audio Center downloaded, go ahead and open that. Once it's open, drag it into your Applications folder. Now in your Applications folder, open the Slate Audio Center. Hit Open, and use your same credentials to log into the Slate Audio Center. Now that we're logged into the Slate Audio Center, we've been prompted that we need to install the helper. Hit OK and type in your computer password. And now we've been prompted that Yellow Matter Entertainment, Slate Audio Center will run in the background. You can ignore that error message. Now we're ready to go install the Raven, so hit Install. Now we've been prompted to install full disk access for the Slate Audio Center. This will allow the Slate Audio Center to install all the Raven drivers and permissions. So you just drag this over, tap it to open your System Preferences Full Disk Access tab here. And now click and drag it over. You'll see the Slate Audio Center helper tool is checked on in this box. And the Slate Audio Center is telling us we have success. So now we're ready to install the driver. Before we do that, we have a couple permissions we want to take care of. So in your settings here, go to your dock settings. Set this dock on the bottom to auto hide. This will allow you more space for the Raven toolbars, and if you need to get to your dock, just drag the mouse down there. Now click Install, and let's install the Raven software. Hit I agree here, and now it's going to run a check for hard drive. It's going to get all of our iLock activations. Choose the iLock that you want to activate and hit Next. Now choose the location, either the computer or the dongle. We'll activate it to the computer. This is going to install all of the Raven assets, the TouchBase UPDD driver, vControl Pro, the Raven software, and all of the DAW assets like key commands, window layouts, session templates. Now it looks like it's taking a while, but this is installing a lot of assets, so be patient, and the Slate Audio Center will make sure that all the permissions are granted and everything is installed correctly. Okay, now we've been prompted to install the assets for either the legacy 1080p Ravens or the Raven MTI Max. I'm doing this on a Max, so we will select the Max display. If you're mixing and matching displays, just choose Max. It'll make sure you have the newest templates and window configurations for a 2K screen. Go ahead and click that. Now the Slate Audio Center will install all of the templates and the assets for the Raven Max. This will make it very easy to get aligned and get the windows to go full screen for the 2K resolution. But if you choose the legacy Raven MTI, that'll install the 1080p templates, so all the windows will size correctly to the 1080p display. Now we can see there's been a prompt that Nyrink has been added to our background apps. This means that vControl Pro has been installed. I will click to remove that prompt and notification. Now the Slate Audio Center is going to install UPDD, which is our touch driver, and will require some permissions once it's finished installing. Now we've been notified that TouchBase is going to run in the background. TouchBase makes UPDD. That is the touch driver, so that's a normal message. We could click out of there. Now you'll notice we have been prompted about a system extension for UPDD. So to grant permissions, UPDD apps, we'll hit OK here, we'll hit continue. And now we'll be prompted about the UPDD extension permissions. So scroll down here and click allow right here in our privacy security. Type in your password and click allow. And it says UPDD device connected. Now the Slate Audio Center has prompted us to allow UPDD in accessibility. So just click here. It'll take us right to the accessibility tab and click and drag this window. And you see it checked on UPDD, UPDD daemon, and this says privacy security was prevented. We'll allow that. Congratulations, UPDD has been granted. Hit continue. Now we need to allow the UPDD commander. Click here. This will take us to accessibility, and you could click and drag. This will allow UPDD commander in accessibility. Now UPDD commander will need screen capture. So click to open the screen recording preferences. And now click back on the Slate Audio Center and click and hold and drag UPDD commander to the screen recording permissions. Slate Audio Center has popped up. We'll click continue. Now we'll need to add the Raven permissions. Click continue. Tap the Raven icon. It'll take you to the screen recording page. Click again, and now click and hold with the mouse and drag the Raven into the screen recording prefs. So now that the install and all the permissions checks have been completed, we could continue to the quick start guide here. This will open up the Raven setup wizard. So here you can just click next. Decide if you're on single or dual, make sure the USB is plugged in, and this is going to walk you through setting up all of your DAW and display preferences. I will be showing you all these features in this setup video, so we can just close this for now, click the red X up top, and this will open the Slate Audio Center. We can go back to products, and if you need to get back to the setup wizard, you can click Quick Start Guide here in the Stephen Slate Audio Center. Or in the Raven dashboard, we can click Open, and this will take us to another page with the Setup Wizard. Now the Raven dashboard, you have a Settings tab here where we can hide our help labels. Here is all of the YouTube and setup videos. Below that is all the manuals. So now we'll stay on the Home tab. To hide and show the Raven dashboard, just touch or click this little Raven icon up here in the menu bar. Now that the touch driver is installed, we can set up some UPDD preferences. Click the hand icon in the menu bar and select Console. This is the UPDD console. From here, we can see all the monitors that are connected in the system and if the Raven USB is being seen. Since we are on a single monitor, we don't need to identify, but if you have multiple monitors, click the binocular button here, push and hold the Raven for 3 seconds, let go when it turns blue, and then just click Next with the mouse on the non-touchscreen monitors. Now we can exit out of here and do some gestures. All of the gestures are handled by the UPDD Commander app. So just add the desired application into here and map the gestures. Raven comes preloaded with hundreds of these gestures. So like minimize with a rotate with 2 fingers to the left, or if you want to open up Safari, rotate 4 fingers to the right. Make a new tab with a 4-finger expand, switch between tabs with a 4-finger swipe, or refresh a tab with a 2-finger rotate to the right. Now hide the app with a 5-finger pinch. All right, now that we have Raven installed and UPDD set up, we're ready to set up the DAW. We could launch the DAW and the Raven from the Raven dashboard, but since this is the first time setting up the DAW, we will manually open the DAW. So I'll go open Logic. Now that Logic is open, we are ready to set up all of the Raven preferences. So go into Logic Pro here, and under Key Commands, under Presets, select the Raven 4.0 key commands. Next, we'll want to align some of the windows to fit the different display sizes. We can do that in Logic with what are called screen sets. These are very useful for handling all of your display arrangement configurations and saving them. Slate has already customized these screen sets for the different types of Ravens and layouts. So go to File, Project Settings, Import Project Settings. Then in your Music tab, Audio Music Apps, Project Templates, here we'll see the Raven MTI Max screen set template. To access these templates in the future a lot easier, just drag them right over into your Favorites tab. Now you don't have to go search for them. So we'll import and we'll just check the box here for screen sets. Now we'll see we have a mix window open, we have this Logic window aligned, and different screen sets showing in here. So number 8 is the project window, number 9 is the mix window. What's great about these screen sets is they've already configured all of these track header components, and maybe if users want to make any adjustments, click on a couple options in here, set this as the user default, and then unlock and lock the screen set. Save that as your template. Now you have a great way to keep your windows in sync. So now that we've aligned the windows and we've installed the key commands, we're ready to launch the Raven toolbars. So on the Raven dashboard here, just hit Launch next to Logic. This will open up the Raven multi-touch mixers and toolbars. We'll see right here, we've been prompted to connect to Raven 32. Be sure to hit Connect, and now you'll see the Raven control surface now showing up in Logic. If you're using the older legacy Raven, it'll just say Raven, it won't be 32. So close that window, and now the first thing users will see is the Raven Classic console. This is modeled after an analog console and could be 16 or 32 faders. back to 16. Here we'll see we can touch solos or swipe them. Down here on the left we have our different markers to jump around the memory locations of the song. Here's some transport options. Rewind, fast forward. Over here are some batch commands to do some useful actions like changing the buffer size, bouncing to disk, or solo clear. If you want to change these batch commands, you just push and hold for 3 seconds, and now we can edit these in the batch command editor, which we'll go over later in the video. Next to here, you have the batch command matrix. This is a floating batch command panel that's great if you need more batch command access in the classic console. We'll go over editing this a little later as well. Now to bank, you just do a one-finger swipe, or you hit these banking buttons on the right. Save the DAW with the Save DAW feature here. Now on the left side, we have the flip button, which will flip the toolbars to the top of the screen. So now your faders are nice and low. Hit flip to bring it back. And we could also hide the Raven Classic console in Access Logic by just hitting the hide button here. Now we could do what needs to be done in Logic. Finally, just click the little Raven icon on the left to get back to the Classic console. Now, a great feature in the Classic console is these buttons down here, which are your fader groups. These make accessing large sessions and keeping organized really easy. So to set these up, you'll just hide the Raven here, select a couple tracks. Let's select our drums, group them, and call the group Live Drums. Hit return, and then only check on the box for hide. We don't want to write any other preferences to this. So then we go back into our classic console, push and hold a batch command here, and now in the batch command editor, you'll see we have an option for all the tracks or the group we just created called Live Drums. So assign that, it automatically populates the name, and hit the button, and now this will show all the live drums that we just made in that group. Show all to show all the tracks in that group. Now another great feature of the Classic console is the ability to see your inserts up here. So I'll just hide the Classic console here. We will open up our Raven mixer. Now that the Logic mixer is showing, we can open up the Raven console, and you'll see all of the plugins in the session have populated on the tracks. Just tap the plugin, make a selection, tap it again to hide it. Tap another plugin, that'll open, make the adjustment. We could also just do a 3-finger tap to hide the tracks as well with that gesture. The Raven Classic console can also be organized with custom fader icons. So push and hold an icon up here, tap the track you want to have the icon, and to remove it, just hit the blank space next to it and tap the tracks again. Or go to the Custom tab and import your own custom icons. Last, with the Classic console, is the ability for multi-touch sends. So hit the Sends button here, and now we have multi-touch sends on all the tracks in the session. Up here, we'll change the bus that's being controlled, 1, 2, or bus 3, bus 4. And to go back to the Classic console, just hit this button again. And now we're viewing our faders and our plugins. Now that we've covered the Raven Classic console, let's go over using the Raven 4.0 toolbars in advanced mode. Now we'll switch to the advanced toolbar. So hit the advanced button here. Now you're seeing the Raven 4.0 toolbar. This is a nice compact toolbar that matches Logic. And starting from the left, we have the ability to just hide windows. Or if you have a couple plugins open, you could hit the hide plugin button. This will toggle open and closed all the last plugins. Here you have zoom in and zoom out. We have multi-touch MIDI pads. You can hit this wrench here and change the MIDI notes, or make it smaller or larger, or change the octaves. Next to this, we have the marker tools. This will jump between all the different markers in the session. to add a marker, just make a selection, hit the plus button, and hit the memory location button on the right to hide or show the marker tab in Logic. Above that, we have the DAW tools to switch between the marquee tool, the pointer tool, the pencil tool, the zoom tool. And to the left of that, we have our edit tools. So here we can select a couple tracks. You can put them into a summing stack or folder, toggle the folder open and closed, select a couple more tracks, create a group of those tracks, or we can turn on and off all the groups. Now moving over, we have a bunch of great batch commands. So here we can make some new tracks or just add a new audio track. I could select the track and we could mute the clip, or we could zoom the whole session or zoom just to the clip. Make a selection here and crop, or create a new instrument track or track stack. Here are some group batch commands. So if we just want to see the drums or the music, all we have to do is just make a group, call it music, set it to hide, and then now we could just show all the music tracks, or go back and show all the tracks. There's some locators, and here's your mixer tab. So all your mixers, you have the internal, the Raven, or the floating, also known as the studio mixer. We can change our fine fader speeds in here. To the right of that, we have our transport. We can play, stop, rewind, go to the top or the end. We can turn on or off the metronome or set the loop. Next to that, we have cursors, which make it really easy to navigate the regions. Then here's your nav pad. So if you click this little zoom icon, we could either zoom all the tracks, big or small, or just to do the selected tracks, tap it again. Now it'll just zoom the selected tracks. To change this to a jog wheel, you could just push this little cross button here, and now you have a jog wheel to zoom the tracks, change the waveform size, or we could even shuttle and scrub the session. Then next to here, we have the batch command browser and the command matrix, as well as undo, redo. Now that we've gone over gestures, let's go over a great new feature in Raven 4.0, that is the floating mixer. This Raven floating mixer has a single track that will follow whatever track is selected. And now users can adjust the volume of that selected track. You could solo, mute the track. We have a transport, fast forward, rewind. Same as on the toolbar, we have a nav pad that we can swipe up, down for zooming in, push and hold to turn it into a jog wheel. We have our memory locations to jump between different sections of the song. Here's all your tools to switch from marquee, pointer, pencil, zoom, and marquee. We can hide and show plugins. In here you could also select a couple tracks and add them to a group. We have modifiers in here to select, and then as soon as you touch the Raven again, the modifier will deselect, or you make your selection and then touch the modifier again. Here's all of our batch commands with different sections, so users can have different batch commands for whatever task is at hand. Now my favorite part of this Raven Studio Mixer is it's expandable. So you just hit this arrow on the side. Now you have 8 multi-touch faders. Hit it again, you got 16. You could swipe all your solos. Hit it again, we have 24 faders. And now if you're on Raven MTI Max, you hit it one more time. Now you have 32 multi-touch faders right below the project. This makes it really easy to do some edits, but then switch back to the faders, mute some tracks, solo some tracks. Now to get back, just hit this arrow again. And if users just want to use the Studio Mixer, you just hit this Rack Show button here, and this will hide or show the Raven toolbars. Now let's go over the next big feature of the Raven Internal Mixer. So to do this, hit your Mixer tab and hit Internal. This will recall screen set 9, which will make sure everything is aligned correctly. If you need to make any changes up here, just lock the screen set so that 9 is always your mix window showing all these faders. This is the Raven internal mixer, which sits right on top of the Logic mixer, but it gives you full throw 100mm faders. You can control up to 10 at once, or even grab 2, move over, grab another 2, and it'll track your fingers. If you push and hold the mixer button, now you're just looking at these little Logic faders that aren't multi-touch and the fader throw is very short. Push and hold, we're looking at the Raven internal mixer. Now, a great thing about this Raven internal mixer in Logic is it could actually do sends as well. So up here, put your sends on faders. Now you'll see these tracks are controlling those sends. Or you can go up here. Now the faders are going to show our plates, which are over here, and turn it off. And now we're back on the Raven faders for volume. You can swipe mutes. And if you want to select a track, just hit right above the pan knob here, hold shift, and you can select multiple tracks or just tap. Here we can also go into fine fader mode. Just open up your mixer tab, set it to slow. Now our faders are super slow-mo. Makes it really easy for writing a vocal. Now that we've gone over the Raven internal mixer, let's go over my favorite part of Raven, the batch commands. So just hit your edit button back here. This will take us back to screen set 8, showing our arrange window. And now we want to show some extra batch commands. So over here on the bottom right, I'll hit the batch command button. This will open up the Raven batch command toolbar. And you can just 2-finger scroll to see more batch commands. Or to stay organized, hit the category button on the left, and now users can filter all your batch commands into different categories. Now, if a user only wants the batch command tab or doesn't want to take up this much screen real estate, you can push and hold this batch command button here, and now you're in the toolbar flip mode. So just hit this button to flip between showing batch commands or your main toolbar. Push and hold it again to switch back to the normal mode. Now, another great feature of Raven 4.0 is the batch command browser. So hit the batch command browser window here, and you can see all the top batch commands have been added in here. Now users can just select a user tab, drag and drop entire panels, or drag and drop single batch commands. To create your own batch commands, just move some panels over and size them just by hitting the left or right arrows. Hit the batch command browser button again and save. One more thing in the batch command browser is when you're in there, if you open up the command matrix, you'll see you have arrows on the command matrix and can resize this to any desired size. Now let's make some batch commands. So first I'll just push and hold this batch command panel. I will give it a color and I'll just say Raven test. We'll assign that. And now let's make some cool batch commands. So we'll push and hold and we'll make a batch command to change the buffer size. So in this batch command editor, you go to the menu items and we can search all of the menu items in Logic. So I want to go to settings, audio. I'm going to add that into the script. We'll just call this buffer 512. So now that I have that batch command, let's run it and we will click it. And this opens up the audio settings tab. Now I need to send a mouse click to click here, type in 512 and exit. So to do that, we'll push and hold the batch command again. And we'll go to the mouse select area. For this, I'm going to use the region, which will let me take a snapshot of this Logic window. So I select Logic as application, hit record, draw a little box around what I want Raven to scan for. So we draw this box here, and then take this little blue dot and drag it over what we want to be clicked. Hit the record button. Now it's recorded that screenshot and the action, so we'll add that into the script as well. Now we're going to need a key command to select 512 from the list. So you go key command, text, and type in 512 in the text. Add that in, key command return. We'll add that in. And then we just want to close the window, which will be Command W. Now when making these batch commands, timing is very important that it's not too fast. So let's give it 1000 milliseconds after it opens the window, 1000 for the click. We'll let it type in, select. Now let's hit the batch command, buffer 512. It'll open the audio settings, click there, do 512, and close the window. Now let's do one more batch command on how to add a plugin to the selected track. So I'll push and hold the batch command here. We'll go into our services tab, which are Apple scripts, so they can talk to Logic in some different ways. And we'll just type in next insert. Click next insert in the inspector. We'll add that. I'll say add plugin. So now let's run that. So you'll see it's opened up this plugin browser over here. We can either type in from here audio units, and then Slate Digital, cursor right, return, or we could also just type in the name of the plugin. So what if we type in distortion, cursor right, clip distortion, which would be a cursor down, and return. So we'll edit the batch command with that. So after add plugin, key command text editor, want to type in distortion or just dist. From there we say cursor right, and then from there cursor down to the next plugin, hit return. We'll give it a little bit of delay, and this will add the clip distortion. Let's go over an amazing part of the Raven, the multi-touch gestures. Let's start with two fingers. So you do a two-finger pinch, in and out, we'll zoom you in. Two-finger tap, we'll play and stop. Make a selection and a two-finger rotate to the left, we'll move the locators there, and a two-finger rotate to the right, we'll move the punch locators there. Two-finger double tap, can zoom in on a small section. Two-finger double tap again to remove the smart zoom. With two fingers, we can also scroll around, or if you hold down Option, you can two-finger drag to zoom as well. Now, let's do some three-finger gestures. With a three-finger swipe right and left is also zoom in. Down will make all the tracks big. Up will make all the tracks small. So we'll zoom into a section of audio here, make a selection, three-finger rotate to the left, we'll delete that selection. And then if you select a region and three-finger rotate to the right, we'll repeat the region. Now three-finger double tap, we'll undo. And we could also do a three-finger expand and pinch for copy-paste. So copy a region, three-finger expand, make a selection on the track, three-finger pinch, we'll paste it. And a three-finger tap will also hide any open windows. Now let's do some four-finger gestures. So if you make a selection and you four-finger swipe to the right, it'll zoom in. Right again, we'll zoom back out to the previous state. Left, we'll fit everything vertically. And if you get the windows how you like them, and you do a four-finger swipe up, it'll save that snapshot. So now no matter where you zoom in, you can recall the snapshot with four-finger swipe down. Now some four-finger gestures with editing. Make a selection, four-finger rotate to the right, we'll crop in all the edges. Make a selection, four-finger rotate to the left, we'll break. If you overwrite these and you do a four-finger double tap, you see it adds in our fade. Four-finger push, we'll bounce the track in place. Now let's do some five-finger gestures. So five-finger up, we'll switch your marquee tool. Right is pencil tool. Down, that's your fade tool. Left is your pointer tool. If you select a region, you do a five-finger rotate to the left, that'll open this region editor. So you can just swipe up to do some fades, or adjust the clip gain by swiping up or down with one finger, and then hide those with a five-finger rotate to the left. Finally, you can push and hold with five fingers to bounce your track in place. Now, one last thing I'd like to talk about is for the fader groups. We've actually made some great batch commands to do these fader groups. So go to the mixing tab, and you'll see we have create fader groups here. So I'm gonna go delete all the groups in the session. And now let's make some groups. So first thing we wanna do is just make our all track group. So just create all tracks, create all track group. Is gonna name it all tracks and deselect and just select hide for us. Very cool. Now we'll select our drum tracks and hit create drum group. You see it names the drums, deactivates everything except hide. So let's go grab a couple other things. Here's some vocals. So create vocal group. You see it names it vocals, unhides all the stuff. And let's do one more group. We will just call this one the guitar group. Create guitar group. You see the batch command will make a group called guitars and select it just to hide. So when you move one fader, it doesn't move them all. Now when we go to our Raven Classic console, all of our groups here will hide or show the correct track. So drums shows just our drums. Guitars shows the guitars, vocals will show the vocals, or if we want to customize, you push and hold, and now we can select what track we want where. So we'll make this one vocals as well, and that'll also recall the vocals and show all the tracks. One other great feature of the batch command system for Logic is we've added direct access to the DAW. So push and hold a batch command, and in the batch command area, the DAW tab, here you'll see every single option in Logic that aren't available with MIDI or key commands. So for instance, we could just do one like the color. So arrange window, assign track color. We'll add that in here. We can say assign color. Now run the batch command. It's going to open up our color palette, make a selection here, change the color of these tracks. Let's make them pink or orange. Now we'll see that the actual tracks are still pink, so we can go get another DAW access batch command for color tracks by the region. Arrange window region colors to tracks. Region color to tracks. Make that one orange. Now we'll see these tracks here turn orange, or select these tracks, make these teal, and then region assign, those tracks go teal. Make these tracks, make them green, assign region track to color, and there we go. Thanks so much for watching and checking out Raven 4.0 for Logic. Happy mixing!